Across the sands of the Middle East and the rolling hills of Europe, a series of monumental events unfolded nearly 1,000 years ago. They shaped kingdoms, changed religions, and left a legacy that lingers to this day. This is the story of the Crusades, a tale of faith, war, ambition, power, and deeply human triumphs and tragedies. The Crusades were a series of religious wars fought between the 11th and 13th centuries, marked by intense conflict and significant cultural impact. These wars were primarily driven by the Christian states of Europe against Muslim powers, with Jerusalem and the Holy Land at the heart of their struggle. The initial goal of the Crusades was to reclaim Jerusalem, a city considered sacred by Christians, from Muslim control. Over time, the Crusades expanded in scope, involving various political, economic, and religious motivations. These campaigns not only shaped the history of Europe and the Middle East, but also left a lasting legacy of cultural exchange, rivalry, and shifts in power dynamics. However, the Crusades were far more than battles for faith. While religion played a central role, these campaigns were also driven by complex motives, including economic ambitions, political rivalries, and deep-seated social unrest. For many, the Crusades offered opportunities to gain wealth, land, or power, while others were motivated by the promise of spiritual rewards or adventure. To truly understand their full scope and lasting impact, we must start with the First Crusade, the pivotal event that set the stage for centuries of conflict and reshaped the political and cultural landscape of Europe and the Middle East. In 1095, Pope Urban II called for a holy war to reclaim Jerusalem from Muslim control, delivering a fiery and impassioned speech at the Council of Clermont. He appealed to Christians across Europe, urging them to take up arms in what he framed as a divine mission to protect their faith and secure access to the Holy Land. His words struck a chord, uniting knights, peasants, and nobles under the banner of the First Crusade. What followed was a movement that galvanized Europe, sparking an unprecedented war that would shape the medieval world for centuries to come. The First Crusade is arguably the most famous of them all, marking a pivotal moment in medieval history. It began in 1096, following Pope Urban II's call to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control, and was led by powerful European nobles and knights. Notable figures such as Godfrey of Bouillon, a pious and skilled military leader, and Bohemond of Taranto, a Norman prince known for his cunning and ambition, played critical roles in the campaign. This crusade culminated in the capture of Jerusalem in 1099, a victory that would have far-reaching consequences for both the Christian and Islamic worlds. They marched to the Byzantine Empire, forging alliances and navigating tense diplomacy, before crossing the rugged terrain of Anatolia, a journey fraught with hardship and loss. Their ultimate goal was Jerusalem, the holy city at the heart of their mission. Along the way, they engaged in bloody battles, including the infamous Siege of Antioch, a grueling and protracted conflict marked by starvation, betrayal, and remarkable brutality that left a lasting scar on both sides. But what made the Crusaders fight so fiercely? Some fought for religion and salvation, others for wealth and power. This clashing of motives would come to define the Crusades themselves. In 1099, their goal was realized. After a grueling month-long siege, Jerusalem fell to the Crusaders, marking a significant victory for the First Crusade. However, the conquest came at a devastating cost. The city was subjected to horrific massacres, with thousands of Muslim and Jewish inhabitants brutally killed. Accounts from the time described the streets running red with blood, a grim testament to the ferocity of the Crusaders' campaign. While the First Crusade achieved its objectives of capturing the Holy City, the violence and destruction it wrought left a lasting impact, creating deep wounds and tensions that reverberated across the medieval world for centuries to come. Despite their victory, the Crusaders' hold on the Holy Land was fragile and constantly under threat. The region was surrounded by powerful adversaries, and internal divisions among the Crusader states only added to their vulnerability. This instability would spark more wars and military campaigns as they struggled to maintain control against growing resistance, ultimately leading us to the next devastating chapters in the tumultuous history of the Crusades. As the decades passed, successive crusades swept across the eastern Mediterranean, each with its own ambitions and challenges. Unlike the First Crusade, which achieved remarkable initial successes, these later campaigns faced shifting political and military dynamics, including stronger resistance from local powers, internal divisions among the Crusaders, and logistical difficulties. These factors combined to make the later Crusades increasingly less successful in achieving their objectives. The Third Crusade, for instance, saw legendary figures clash in a dramatic conflict. Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, emerged as a charismatic and skilled leader, uniting Muslim forces to defend their territories. On the opposing side was England's Richard the Lionheart, known for his military prowess and unwavering determination. The crusade was marked by intense battles, strategic maneuvers, and moments of mutual respect between these two iconic leaders. Although Richard's efforts successfully restored several Christian strongholds along the coastline, including Acre, Jerusalem ultimately remained under Muslim control, a testament to Saladin's resilience and tactical brilliance. By the Fourth Crusade, the focus had shifted entirely, straying far from its original purpose of reclaiming the Holy Land. Crusaders, diverted by political and economic motives, infamously turned their attention to Constantinople, a Christian city that had once been a crucial ally and supporter of earlier crusades. In 1204, they besieged and sacked the city, looting its treasures, desecrating sacred sites, and causing irreparable damage to one of the most important Christian centers of the time. Over the centuries, the lofty ideals of religion and morality that had initially driven the Crusades gave way to greed, political competition, and internal disarray, ultimately tarnishing the legacy of these campaigns. Ultimately, the subsequent Crusades failed to recapture Jerusalem, despite numerous efforts and significant resources invested over decades. These failures left Europe disillusioned, questioning the effectiveness of such campaigns, but they also brought lasting changes. The Crusades opened up new trade routes, encouraged cultural exchanges, and shifted the political dynamics within Europe and the broader Mediterranean region, leaving an enduring legacy. The Crusades left an enduring mark on religion, politics, economics, and culture, shaping the course of history in profound ways. They not only fueled religious conflicts, but also influenced political power dynamics across Europe and the Middle East. Trade routes flourished between East and West, facilitating the exchange of ideas, goods, and technologies that transformed European societies. Through these interactions, Europe was introduced to advancements in mathematics, medicine, and architecture, as well as luxury goods like spices and textiles, which would later play a key role in the Renaissance and the Age of Exploration. Crusaders returned from their campaigns with broader horizons, bringing back new ideas, cultural influences, and knowledge that inspired significant artistic and intellectual developments across Europe. They introduced advancements in science, medicine, and architecture, many of which were adopted from the Islamic world. However, the devastating effects of war, including widespread destruction, countless lives lost, and enduring cultural conflicts, remain undeniable. Today, the Crusades continue to spark debate among historians and scholars. Were they holy wars aimed at liberating sacred lands and defending the faithful, or were they violent conquests driven by political ambition, greed, and a thirst for power? These military campaigns, spanning centuries, were marked by battles, sieges, and significant cultural exchanges, but also by immense suffering and loss of life. Their legacy forces us to reflect on the dangers of religious intolerance, unchecked ambition, and the lasting impact of ideologies used to justify violence. Understanding this complex history helps us recognize the consequences of such actions and their echoes in the modern world. And in understanding the past, with its triumphs, mistakes, and complexities, perhaps we can uncover valuable lessons that guide us in addressing the conflicts and challenges we face in the present and prepare us for a better, more informed future. Though often overshadowed by the knights and soldiers, women were far from absent during the Crusades. While men went to battle, women stepped into significant roles, shaping the course of events behind the scenes and on the front lines. They served as leaders, managing estates and resources in the absence of their husbands, ensuring the stability of their communities. Some women took on the role of defenders, protecting their homes and fortresses when under threat. Others traveled alongside the crusading forces, acting as nurses, caregivers, and even warriors in rare cases, directly participating in the campaigns. Their contributions, though often overlooked, were vital to the success and sustainability of the Crusades. Eleanor of Aquitaine, for instance, joined the Second Crusade alongside her husband, King Louis VII of France, in the mid-12th century. Her presence not only brought attention to the campaign, but also played a significant role in shaping its diplomacy and alliances, as she was a figure of immense political and cultural influence. Meanwhile, Melisende, the Queen of Jerusalem, ruled one of the Crusader states during the same era. She proved to be a shrewd and capable monarch, navigating political challenges and consolidating power in a time when leadership was largely dominated by men. Her reign marked a period of stability and strength for the Kingdom of Jerusalem, showcasing her exceptional administrative and diplomatic skills. The battlefields of the Crusades were where history was written in blood, marking pivotal moments in the struggle between Christian and Muslim forces. Some battles, such as the Battle of Aten in 1187, were not only decisive in shaping the outcome of the Crusades, but also in altering the political and religious landscape of the region for centuries. This battle, where Saladin's forces triumphed over the Crusader armies, led to the recapture of Jerusalem and sent shockwaves across Europe, prompting the launch of the Third Crusade. Such events, the Siege of Acre, for example, marked the end of the Crusader presence in the Holy Land. This pivotal event took place in 1291 when the Mamluks launched a relentless assault on the fortified city, which had served as the last major Crusader stronghold. The battle was brutal and prolonged, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. Despite desperate efforts by the Crusaders to defend the city, the Mamluks' superior numbers and determination ultimately overwhelmed them. The fall of Acre not only sealed the fate of the Crusaders in the region, but also symbolized the definitive end of an era, closing a chapter on nearly 2 centuries of conflict during the Crusades. These battles, though fought in distant lands or long past, offer valuable lessons about leadership, strategy, and the devastating toll of war on both soldiers and civilians. They remind us of the complexities of conflict, the importance of decision-making under pressure, and the enduring impact war has on societies and future generations. Out of the Crusades emerged the Crusader states, territories established by European knights as footholds in the Holy Land during their campaigns to reclaim it from Muslim control. These states included the Kingdom of Jerusalem, a central stronghold that served as a political and religious hub, the Principality of Antioch, a key power in the north, the County of Tripoli, known for its coastal trade, and the County of Edessa, the first Crusader state to be established. These territories were heavily fortified and served as vital bases for further military expeditions, while also becoming cultural and economic centers where Western and Eastern traditions converged. These states were more than mere military outposts. They evolved into vibrant hubs for trade, diplomacy, and cultural exchange between Europe and the Middle East. Merchants, scholars, and travelers frequently passed through, bringing with them goods, ideas, and traditions that enriched both regions. However, their existence was constantly under threat, as they were surrounded by powerful forces determined to reclaim their lands, leading to a continuous struggle for survival and influence. The Byzantine Empire played a complex role as both an ally and a source of tension during the Crusades. It was Emperor Alexios I Komnenos who, facing increasing pressure from Seljuk Turkish advances into Byzantine territory, reached out to Pope Urban II for military aid. This plea for help ultimately sparked the First Crusade in 1095. While the Byzantines provided critical support and acted as a bridge between the Latin West and the Islamic East, their relationship with the Crusaders was often strained, marked by cultural differences, conflicting goals, and occasional mistrust. However, Relations between Western Crusaders and Byzantines were often strained due to cultural, religious, and political differences. The tensions reached a breaking point during the Fourth Crusade, which shockingly culminated in the sack of Constantinople by Christian knights in 1204. This devastating event not only caused immense destruction and looting in the Byzantine capital, but also deepened the existing schism between the Eastern Orthodox and Western Catholic churches, leaving a legacy of mistrust and resentment that would last for centuries. The Byzantine Empire's fate was inextricably linked to the Crusades, a series of religious wars that not only aimed to reclaim the Holy Land, but also deeply impacted the political and economic stability of the empire. These conflicts shaped its history, weakening its resources and alliances, and ultimately contributed to its eventual decline. The Fourth Crusade, in particular, dealt a devastating blow when Constantinople was sacked in 1204, marking a turning point in the empire's downfall. On the opposing side stood formidable Muslim leaders, who skillfully united their forces against the Crusaders with determination and strategic brilliance. Among these leaders, Saladin is the most celebrated, not only for his fairness and diplomatic approach, but also for his outstanding military tactics that successfully outmaneuvered his opponents. His leadership was marked by, under his command, Muslim forces successfully retook Jerusalem in 1187, a pivotal moment in history, following a decisive victory over the Crusaders at the Battle of Hattin. This battle marked a turning point in the Crusades, as Saladin's strategic brilliance and unified leadership dismantled the Crusaders' hold on the region. Beyond his military achievements, Saladin's leadership redefined the approach to warfare during the period, emphasizing discipline, strategy, and unity among his forces. His actions not only secured key territories, but also left a lasting legacy of respect and admiration, even among his adversaries, for his chivalry, diplomacy, and commitment to justice. Other leaders, such as al-Nasir and Baybars, continued this fierce resistance against the Crusaders, employing strategic military tactics and uniting their forces to defend their territories. Their efforts turned the Crusades into a prolonged and arduous struggle between civilizations, marked by battles, shifting alliances, and cultural clashes that lasted for centuries. The Crusades saw significant advancements in medieval warfare, as both sides adapted to the brutal demands of prolonged conflict. The Crusader states constructed imposing fortresses, strategically positioned to defend their territories and withstand prolonged sieges. These fortifications showcase innovative designs, such as thick walls, moats, and elevated towers, which provided a strong defensive advantage. On the battlefield, ingenious siege engines like trebuchets and battering rams were developed, allowing armies to breach enemy defenses with greater efficiency. These advancements not only shaped the tactics of the time, but also left a lasting legacy on military engineering in medieval Europe and the Middle East. One notable example is the Croix de Chevaliers, a remarkable fortress in modern-day Syria that stands as a testament to the ingenuity of medieval military engineering. Known for its massive stone walls, strategic location, and intricate defensive features, it was considered virtually impregnable during its time. The fortress became a lasting symbol of the Crusader era and remains one of the best-preserved examples of medieval fortifications in the world. The arms race between Crusaders and Muslims during the medieval period significantly transformed how wars were fought, driving advancements in weaponry, military tactics, and fortification techniques on both sides. The Crusaders introduced innovations such as the crossbow and siege engines, while the Muslims refined their use of cavalry, archery, and defensive structures like impenetrable stone fortresses. This constant exchange of strategies and technologies not only shaped the outcomes of battles, but also left a lasting impact on the evolution of medieval warfare, influencing military practices across Europe and the Middle East for centuries to come. Two powerful military orders emerged during the Crusades: the Knights Templar and the Knights Hospitaller. Both groups played crucial roles in the religious wars, blending their deep vows of faith with rigorous military discipline. The Knights Templar, known for their iconic white mantles adorned with a red cross, focused on protecting Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land and managing vast financial networks. Meanwhile, the Knights Hospitaller, distinguished by their black robes with a white cross, initially dedicated themselves to caring for sick and injured pilgrims before evolving into a formidable military force. Together, these orders became the elite fighting forces of the era, leaving a lasting legacy in both history and legend. The Templars were renowned not only for their legendary wealth, but also for their military prowess and the mysterious rituals that surrounded their order, sparking intrigue and countless legends. In contrast, the Hospitallers devoted themselves to providing medical aid and shelter to pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, as well as tending to wounded soldiers on the battlefield, embodying a mission of care and service. Both orders played significant roles during the Crusades, leaving behind a rich legacy that continues to captivate historians and enthusiasts alike. Their influence reached far beyond the Crusades, playing a pivotal role in shaping medieval finance, trade networks, and geopolitics. They established early banking systems, facilitated international commerce, and became key players in political alliances and conflicts across Europe and the Middle East. The Crusades weren't solely about conflict. They also served as a bridge for cultural exchanges that greatly impacted medieval Europe. While the military campaigns were often brutal, they opened up avenues for the transfer of knowledge, technology, and trade. Crusaders returned home not only with exotic goods like spices, textiles, and precious metals, but also with new ideas in science, medicine, and philosophy, many of which had their origins in the Islamic world. These exchanges helped spark significant advancements in European society, shaping art, architecture, and education for centuries to come. This blending of cultures reshaped Western thought, creating a rich tapestry of diverse philosophies, scientific ideas, and artistic influences. The exchange of knowledge and traditions from various civilizations fostered innovation and intellectual growth, encouraging critical thinking and new perspectives. It laid the seeds for future advancements in fields such as mathematics, where groundbreaking theories emerged, medicine, with the development of early practices and treatments, and literature, which flourished with the integration of storytelling techniques and themes from different cultures. This cultural synthesis ultimately shaped the foundation of modern Western civilization, influencing how societies approach learning, creativity, and progress today. The Fourth Crusade took an infamous and unexpected diversion. Originally intended to reclaim the Holy Land from Muslim control, the Crusaders instead turned their forces against Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire and a Christian ally. This shocking betrayal was driven by a combination of political intrigue, financial hardship among the Crusaders, and promises of wealth and power. The city was brutally sacked in 1204, its treasures looted, and countless works of art and relics destroyed or stolen. This event not only deepened the divide between the Eastern Orthodox and Roman Catholic churches, but also caused irreparable damage to the Byzantine Empire, hastening its decline. The events of 1204 serve as a powerful reminder of how ambition and greed could derail even the most sacred missions, such as the Fourth Crusade. Originally intended to reclaim the Holy Land, the crusade was diverted towards the sacking of Constantinople, a Christian city, driven by the competing interests of leaders and financial pressures. This moment in history highlights how easily noble objectives can be overshadowed by personal gain and political maneuvering. By the late 13th century, the Crusades had largely come to an end after nearly 2 centuries of conflict. The Muslim Mamluks, under the leadership of skilled commanders like Sultan Baybars, played a pivotal role in defeating the Crusader forces. Through a series of decisive military campaigns, they successfully reclaimed key Crusader-held territories, including cities like Antioch and Acre. These victories not only marked the end of Crusader rule in the Holy Land, but also solidified the Mamluks' dominance in the region, reshaping the political and cultural landscape of the Eastern Mediterranean. While the campaigns failed to achieve their ultimate goals, their impacts were far-reaching, with political, cultural, and economic consequences that shaped European and Middle Eastern history for centuries to come. The exchange of ideas, technologies, and trade routes, as well as the enduring tensions and alliances they created, left a lasting legacy that influenced the course of history in both regions. Thank you for joining us on this historic journey through time. If you'd like to learn more about the Crusades, explore our recommended readings in the description below. What are your thoughts on the legacy of the Crusades? Drop us a comment below, and don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this video.